Hari Om. Good morning, children. Today, let us deal with lesson 2. Actually, the unit 2 deals with the night the ghost got in under prose, the Grumble family under poem, and zigzag under supplementary reader. Imagination of odd things always leads to absolute humor. It leads to a lot of chaos and confusion and finally to absolute humor. That's the concept of this entire unit. This lesson, The Night the Ghost Got In, is written by James Grover Thauber. He is an American cartoonist, author, humorist, journalist, playwright, and a celebrated wit. He is best known for his cartoons and short stories published mainly in the New Yorker magazine and collected in his numerous books. He is one of the most popular humorists of his time as he celebrates the comic frustrations and eccentricities of ordinary people. James Thauber's autobiography, My Life and Hard Time, was published in 1933 and it is regarded as his greatest work. The extract of this lesson are from his autobiography. Here he gives an incident that took place in the author's house on the night of November 17, 1915. He heard the footsteps of a man walking rapidly around the dining table downwards. The author had just stepped out of the bathtub and he was busily rubbing himself with a towel when he heard the steps. And they were the steps of a man walking rapidly around the dining table downstairs. First he thought it was his father or it must be his brother Roy who had gone to Indianapolis, and later on it must be a burglar, and later it was a ghost. He along with his brother Herman tried to go downstairs and see if anybody is there down. They heard like a man running and started up the stairs towards them heavily, two at a time. And as they got scared, they just ran into the room and slammed the door. This slamming of the door had awakened their mother, who was sleeping in a room upstairs. He, along with his brother Herman, had made this noise, waking his mother, and his grandfather was there in the attic. He heard this sound while he was stepping out of the bathroom, and by hearing it, he thought it was his father and his brother Roy who had gone to Indianapolis and must have returned home, but they hadn't come. Then he suspected it might be a burglar. Since nobody was there, he thought it must be a ghost. He went into Herman's room and asked to accompany him downstairs. They went to the back staircase to listen to the footstep, but they saw nothing coming and only heard the steps again. So they shut the doors in fear. So let us go step by step, children. Let us not be hasty. Try to understand. He's talking about the incident that took place in his house on the night of November 17, 1915. He heard the footsteps of a man walking rapidly around the dining table when he stepped out of a bathroom, and on hearing the sound, he first thought it must be his father, then his brother Roy, and later to be a burglar, and then it was a ghost. So with the help of his brother Herman, he just went downstairs. They only listened to the footsteps, but they were not able to see anything. So they shut the doors in fear. And all the commotion awoke their mother, and she demanded to know what was happening. Look at the picture there, you can just see the mother along with the two children just looking downstairs of what was happening there. The mother too was confused, and she thought there was a burglar downstairs. Therefore, she requested the neighbor to inform the police that there were burglars in her house. But how did she request her neighbor there? She was scared, she was in fear, and therefore she threw a shoe on the neighbor's window, thereby alerting them about the existence of the burglars in their house. Their neighbors were Mr. Bodwell and Mrs. Bodwell. He was an engraver. The neighbor Bodwell called the police, and the police came along with some reporters. The neighbors were scared too. They even decided to quit and get back to their own place. The police, along with some of the reporters, arrived at the spot. The police broke open the glass and made a forceful entry. They searched downstairs, and they told the author's mother there was no sign of anything. That's when they heard the author's grandfather in the attic. They rushed upstairs to the attic. Okay, now let us follow the second part of the lesson. The sound made by Herman and his brother had awakened their mother. Their mother was much scared. She thought there was a burglar downstairs, and she requested the neighbor to inform the police. They called the police, and the police came along with some reporters. The police found their way by breaking open the glass and made a forceful entry. They searched downstairs, and they told the author's mother that there was no sign of anything. Just then they heard the author's grandfather in the attic, and they rushed upstairs to the attic. So I have split the lesson so far into two parts, where you talk about the author hearing the sound, mistaking it to be his father, his brother, a burglar and a ghost. He along with his brother Herman slamming the door, thereby awakening their mother. Mother gets scared and alerts a neighbor to call for the police. And the police arrives at the spot, and they just enter the house searching, but they could find nothing. When they were about to return, they just heard the author's grandfather in the attic, and they rushed upstairs to the attic. Now let us know about this grandfather. This grandfather was an old man who believed that he was still in the American Civil War. He was shocked to see the policemen there, and mistaking them to be the General Meade's army, they have retreated and started firing at them. He snatched a gun from a policeman and started shooting at them. Now the police managed to save themselves and came out of the attic. Now this is the confusion and this odd imagination had led to the absolute humor. Here you have the description about the grandfather who believed strongly that he was still in American Civil War, and on seeing the police he mistakes them to be the General Meads. Under the steady hammering of Stonewall Jackson were beginning to retreat and even desert. So he snatched a gun from the policeman and started shooting at them. Somehow the police managed to save themselves and they came out of the attic. The cops were reluctant to leave without getting their hand on somebody besides the grandfather, because they were expecting somebody to be there, and later on came to know it was all because of the author who had this odd imagination of the burglar or a ghost inside. Thereby the story ends as a humorous drama, each one assuming that there is a ghost, a burglar, and Meade's army men inside the house. And the author has sequenced the scenes as a lively comedy show that one will roar with laughter at the stupidity of each person in the story. Once again, let us recall the concept of the story, that imagination of odd things always leads to absolute humor, and this is the author's own experience that had taken place on the night of November 17, 1915. Once he heard the footsteps of a man walking rapidly around the dining table downstairs. His mother was sleeping in a room upstairs, and his brother Herman was in another room, and his grandfather was in the attic. So this is a scenario actually that had been taking place then. The author stepped out of the bathroom by hearing a noise. He first thought it was his father and his brother Roy who had gone to Indianapolis and must have returned home, but they hadn't come. Then he suspected that it might be a burglar, but nobody was there. And finally he thought it was a ghost. Therefore he went into Herman's room and asked to accompany him downstairs. They both went to the downstairs to listen to the footsteps, but they saw nothing coming and only heard the steps again. So they shut the doors in fear. And all the commotion awoke their mother, and she demanded to know what was happening. She thought there was a burglar downstairs. She requested her neighbor Mrs. Bodwell to inform the police that there were burglars in her house. The neighbor too called the police, and the police came along with some reporters. The police broke open the glass and made a forceful entry. They searched everywhere, and they told the author's mother that there was no sign of anything. That's when they heard the author's grandfather in the attic. They rushed upstairs to the attic. Grandfather was an old man who believed that he was still in the American Civil War. He snatched a gun from a policeman and started shooting at them. Actually, it is believed that he was still in the American Civil War and he was just shooting against his enemy, the General Meade, by snatching a gun from a policeman. Now the police managed to save themselves and they came out of the attic. Thus the story ends as a humorous drama, each one assuming that there is a ghost. First you had the author who thought it must be his father or his brother Roy or a burglar. The mother mistaking to have a burglar in her house there. And the grandfather who believed himself to be there in the American Civil War thought it was Meade's army who had entered into their house. Therefore, the whole sequence, the scenes, as a lively comedy show, had made very clear that their stupid act had ended in a roar with laughter. So odd imaginations always leads to chaos and confusion. Hope you have understood. The lesson is very simple. Again, it indicates about the positivity, the plenty of positivity before doing an act. Think before you act. Let us always have this positive approach, the positive attitude, and the negative thought will always lead to chaos and confusion. So always try to be a positive, and it also talks about the courage that you need. Fear will pull you. Therefore, develop the courageous attitude in you to fight. It is an ordinary challenge there at home, whereas you have plenty of challenges ahead to face, and you need a lot of positivity so that you will achieve of what you want to. And the author himself has given his own experience here. Since some of you have the text, I want you to go through the lesson because it's only the gist I have given you, and I think I have given you at least 3 to 4 times about the lesson, the consolidated form of the lesson. Try to understand and try to go through the questions, the answers for the questions by reading through. I think the key points given here will help you a lot to mark the answers. You know, the syllabus includes short answers and very short answers, and this very short answers will help you to understand the entire story, and by putting all the points in proper form, you can have a paragraph answer, children. So try to understand the concept of the story first, and then try to mark the answers. You have both in-text questions and the book back questions. You also have glossary at the back. Since you are provided with the text, I want you to go through the lesson properly and then go through the questions and mark the answers given there. It is enough if you are thorough with the questions given there at the back, both in textual and the book back, so that you can present your short answers as well as your paragraph answers. Coming to the book back activities, you have this singular and plural forms. Singular and plural, I think you know. One number is singular and more than one number is a plural form. You are given with an activity there. I don't think you need any explanation because you've been doing it since your lower classes. So try to do that. You also have a comprehension passage on page 17. The tie that does not bind. It's again a comprehensive passage. Comprehension is nothing but the power of understanding. You need a lot of reading practice, and you have this type of questions from your non-detail, and you have an unseen passage for 8 marks, each question carrying 2 marks. You have a practice passage here on page 37. Read the following incident carefully to answer the questions that follow. You need not go for any other book there. You have plenty of activities given there in your text. Try to read it. For today, I think you will just read the lesson. Now that you are thorough with the story, I think you can easily understand. Just give a reading to the story and then try to mark the answers given there for the questions given there, and try to work the passage given on page 37. Reading makes a complete man. Unless and until you read and understand, it is going to be difficult for you to present any form of answers. So read it again and try to understand. Don't forget to do the passage given there on page 37. It's a passage, the tie that does not bind. The grammar, of course, you have articles and prepositional phrases. We have already dealt with articles and prepositions in class 9. Articles like adjectives are determiners that are used to denote a noun. You have two types of articles, definite articles and indefinite articles. Definite article the and indefinite article a and an. You know the rules of when to use a and an. A before consonants and an before vowels. You are given with the plenty of examples given there. Now I want you to go through that also. You have plenty of time, and for this particular week you will be doing with the second unit. And since all these are easy forms and already taught in 9th standard, I want you to go through them and try to understand them and try to work the activities given there at the back. The rules are very clear. You have already taken notes of what is given there in the class, and the rules given there on page 40 for articles and 42 for prepositional phrases, the table. I think you can complete the activities there. Please don't waste your time. Try to concentrate in your studies there, and you will enjoy reading it. Now that it is known to you, you will find it easy too. Please children, do not waste your time. Time is free, but it is priceless. Hope you understand. You will have to enjoy every second. You are the shaper of your own destiny, and try to shape yourselves there so that you sparkle like a diamond. Without wasting your time, you can do, as I already told you, the concept of the lesson is imagination of odd things there that will lead to chaos and confusion only. So from this we have learned that we'll have to be positive enough, daring enough to face any challenge that we come across. Now this is only a very simple experience of the author, and his experience is given there, and we have learnt a lesson from this of how we'll have to carry ourselves during such situations. Hope you all understand. And tomorrow I think we'll just deal with the poem, The Grumble Family. Thank you once again. Have a nice day. God bless you children. Thank you.